Hello and welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's start.
Have you ever come home and realized your own family just erased you from your life? Not a stranger, not a thief, your family? Because that's exactly what happened to me the day my key stopped working in my own front door. And what they did next? They thought it would destroy me. Instead, it was the biggest mistake of their lives. My key didn't fit the lock. I twisted it once, twice. The metal scraped uselessly against the cylinder. The door that had opened for me thousands of times suddenly refused to move. For a moment, I thought maybe the lock was jammed, but then the cold truth crept in. Someone had changed it. I stood on the porch of my home in Denver, Colorado, staring at the door I had lived behind for 11 years. My heart was beating slowly, heavily, like it already knew the answer. My name is Rachel Bennett. I'm 35 years old, a financial analyst, and until that moment, I believed my family would never betray me. I was wrong. I pulled out my phone and called my father. Dad, why doesn't my key work? There was a pause. Then his voice came through calm, too calm. Rachel, sweetheart, this is actually better for you. You'll understand soon. Before I could respond, I heard my stepmother, Karen, in the background. You'll thank us later, honey. That was the exact moment something inside me didn't break. It switched off. I didn't scream. I didn't pound on the door. Instead, I slowly sat down on the porch steps and looked at the house that legally belonged to me. Then I opened my phone and sent one text to my lawyer. They took the bait. File everything. His reply came seconds later. Are you absolutely sure? I looked at the locked door and whispered, I've never been more sure of anything. People think betrayal happens suddenly, but mine started quietly, months earlier. About 6 months before that day, my dad and Karen began asking strange questions. At first, it sounded harmless. How's work going? Are you stressed? Are you keeping up with your mortgage? Then the questions got more specific. How much do you still owe on the house? Where do you keep your important documents? What days are you usually working late? Karen even offered to help me organize my paperwork. At the time, I thought she was just trying to be helpful. Now I realize she was studying me. The first real red flag came during Karen's 51st birthday dinner. Halfway through dessert, she leaned forward with a sweet smile. Rachel, don't you think that house is too big for just one person? My father didn't say anything. He just kept drinking his wine. That silence bothered me more than the comment. Later that night, I went home and noticed something strange. My desk drawer was slightly open. A folder inside my filing cabinet had been moved. Someone had been looking through my personal documents. That's when I stopped assuming everything was fine and started preparing. Over the next few weeks, things became even stranger. My father stopped answering my calls directly. Karen would answer instead. Oh, Rachel, he's resting. You know how overwhelmed he gets.
Overwhelmed? My father ran a construction company for 30 years. The man could work 12-hour days without complaining. Then my mail started disappearing. Bank statements, mortgage letters, insurance notices. Gone. When I asked Karen about it, she laughed. Oh, Rachel, you've always been a little forgetful. Forgetful. Right. But the moment everything clicked happened one Sunday morning when I stopped by their house unexpectedly. I walked in quietly and heard them talking in the kitchen. Karen whispered, "Once the paperwork is finalized, she won't have a choice." My father sighed. "It's for her own good." "She trusts us too much," Karen replied. My chest tightened. They noticed me seconds later and went completely silent. Karen smiled too widely. That was the moment I realized something important. They weren't helping me. They were setting me up. The real betrayal happened on a bright Wednesday morning. My dad called the night before and said we needed to talk about something important. His voice sounded nervous. I thought he might be sick. So I left work early and drove home. When I turned into my driveway, my stomach dropped. A moving truck was parked in front of my house. 2 men were carrying my furniture outside. My couch! I shouted, running toward them. One of the movers shrugged. Sorry, ma'am. We're just following the order. The house has already been sold. Sold. My ears rang. Karen stepped outside wearing sunglasses and holding an iced coffee like nothing was wrong. Oh, Rachel, you're home earlier than we expected. My father stood behind her, staring at the ground. We sold the house, she said calmly. You weren't managing your money responsibly. My voice came out cold. You forged my signature. Karen smirked. Let's not be dramatic. Then she leaned closer and whispered, You should be grateful. Inside me, everything went quiet, because what Karen didn't know was this. After hearing them whisper weeks earlier, I had already called my lawyer. I had already secured the original property deed. I had already documented every suspicious move they made. Standing there watching my life being loaded into a truck, I simply sent one message. They took the bait. 2 days later, we were sitting at their kitchen table when someone knocked on the door. Karen frowned. Who is that? The door opened. A sheriff stepped inside. Karen Bennett and Thomas Bennett, you are being served for fraud, forgery, and illegal property transfer. Karen's face turned white. My father stared at me in shock. Rachel, what did you do? I leaned back calmly. Exactly what you taught me growing up, Dad. Measure twice. Cut once. 3 weeks later, we met again in court. My lawyer placed a thick stack of evidence in front of the judge. Forged signatures, financial records, audio recordings, and most importantly, the real deed proving the house still legally belonged to me. The judge looked at me. Ms. Bennett, do you wish to pursue full charges? I didn't hesitate. Yes. The gavel came down. Their accounts were frozen. The fraudulent sale was canceled, and my home was fully restored to me. As I walked out of the courthouse into the sunlight, I finally felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Because they thought locking me out of my own house would break me. Instead, they locked themselves into the trap I built. If this story shocked you, wait until you hear the next one. Subscribe to the channel for more real stories about betrayal, justice, and the moments when the truth finally wins. And remember this, sometimes the people who try to destroy you are the ones who underestimate you the most.